if you're a loyal Nostalgia fan, you'll know that last week we did our Oscar nomination predictions, and so we want to kick off today's show talking about the nominations that were released this morning. And Dave, how did we do in terms of our predictions?
Well, I think we did well because there wasn't anything too surprising. Like it was more or less what was expected, or at least what was theorized as being possible. I think the most surprising thing is that Lakeith Stanfield was nominated Best Supporting Actor,
Hmm.
partially because he was also ran as a supporting actor, despite having even more screen time than Daniel Kaluuya, the
Hmm.
favorite, and of course, also was nominated. So it's great that Lakeith was recognized. Obviously, I'm happy about that. It's a good performance, and he's one of the best actors we have. But didn't see that one coming. Gotta be honest.
Yeah, no, me neither. I definitely when I saw that, I gave a little look like, huh, this seems a bit like they're you know, gaming the nomination system a bit. But you know what? Good for him. Shout out to our guy Lakeith Stanfield. I think I was most surprised at a category which felt pretty solid, or we felt pretty confident was probably going to be just chalk, which was best director, and we still got 4 out of the 5. But Aaron Sorkin left off, and Thomas Vinterberg for another round got the nomination. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the Academy growing more and more broad as they've been adding thousands of members the past, 5 years or so.
Hmm.
Notably, from what I understand, the directing branch is more international. Think of Powell Pawlikowski being nominated for Cold War just 2 years ago. This is very similar to that. We expect another round, of course, to win Best International Film, where it was nominated. That's the overwhelming favorite there. But yeah, that's awesome to see. And I think, yeah, in terms of Chicago 7, it's nominated for Best Picture, it's nominated for Screenplay. But leaving Sorkin off for director does kind of sit well with me because it was not like it was remarkably directed,
Hmm.
you know. So
Yeah,
I'm totally fine with that one.
yeah. If there's one of the original 5 to leave off, I think it was definitely him. And just looking at this best director category, I mean, we really only have one veteran director in David Fincher, at least veteran in terms of award nominations and
Mainstream
acclaim.
movies, yeah.
So, pretty interesting. I think we kind of see that throughout. A lot of people getting their first nominations. Another nomination that I think surprised me going back to the best supporting actor category is Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, which we thought was a long shot, but something I think we both were hoping for. Gave a great performance. Really hoping that he gets to enjoy this nomination. He's probably not going to win, but definitely a cool nomination for sure. Anything else stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Best Picture went with just 8 movies. Starting next year, it's going to be mandatory 10 again. It started out as 10 when it expanded, then it went from 5 to 10. It's usually been 8 or 9. Notably, you'll know Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and One Night in Miami did not make it into Best Picture. You'd have to figure they would have been 9 and 10, and then Defy Bloods is probably 11 in terms of what everyone was expecting, what we had seen from other voting bodies leading up to this. You know, Sound of Metal did get in. The Father does get in. Borat 2 was a long shot, doesn't get in. But I was surprised to see both the stage adaptations not make it, but that's also probably why they didn't get in, was just that not everyone was as sold on them as Best Picture plays. Obviously, they're represented elsewhere, mainly in acting.
Yeah, and not I don't always agree with the Academy on these things, but I think the uh out of the categories, if you were gonna leave 2 off out of the 10 that were expected, those were probably the 2 I would have left off as well.
Caveat: we
Um,
still haven't seen The Father.
True, which I'm expecting to blow my socks off by all the nominations it's getting. So expectations high, can never be let down. Um, yeah, I think the only other thing that I'm like looking at these nominations and kind of like, huh, is so Judas and the Black Messiah, 2 actor nominations, original screenplay nomination. Do you think this has a real shot at possibly taking Best Picture home?
Right, I should have noted too. That was another one on the bubble for Best Picture, and it seems to get in quite handily, as you said. Other nominations. Hard to say yet. I would lean no, with Shaka King not nominated for Best Director,
Mhm.
but and like Nomadland and then Minari, I'd say are our top leading contenders, and we can probably
Mhm.
take Chicago 7 down a peg after the Sorkin omission,
Mhm.
but it's more plausible today than it was last week. No question there for Judas.
I'm uh, I'm gonna call it now. I think it's got a really good shot. I think that'll be my like dark horse pick when we do our
And it,
predictions.
it would be quite interesting too, because as far as I know, it was just removed off HBO Max. Remember, the per Warner Brothers strategy, everything is day and date with theaters for the first 30 days, and then leaves Max and remains in theaters, and concludes a traditional windowing, I believe. Wonder Woman 1984 and The Little Things are now off, for example, and Tom and Jerry soon to follow that. It'll be interesting to see if they actually keep that going with Judas, because you'd think that making it as available to everyone as possible right now for this voting campaign would make sense. Again, Nomadland, readily available on Hulu, Chicago
Mhm.
7 on Netflix, Minari on VOD. So something to watch there. But yeah, I mean that'd be amazing if that happened, and because it's probably the most late breaking film into the field, right? Like, The Father had been seen by critics and the
Yeah,
Academy for a while
Sundance.
now,
Mhm.
even though the public hasn't seen it. So the Judas is kind of like the latecomer in terms of anything with real juice behind it.
Mhm. I'm going to call that as my dark horse now. We'll talk about that more in the future. Also, just one thing I just noticed here: the White Tiger
Yep.
uh, got nominated for adapted screenplay.
Yep. Another
Pretty cool.
latecomer. Yeah,
Did
that's
not
cool.
see that coming.
Yep.
So
Had some BAFTA love as well. Yeah, that's cool with me. Sure.
sure, why not?
Um, One thing actually we didn't talk about this last week, but if you look at best visual effects, it's not the most remarkable group year over year,
Hmm.
and that's actually the category that is most affected by all the movie delays. It's just that the short
Ah,
list for
yeah.
effects in general is just not the most impressive list of movies when it comes to this. So you'll see a movie like Mulan nominated today. Now, I don't know that many people that are super enthusiastic about that film's effects, but it's also comes to the point of like who else you picking. There's only
Yeah,
so many movies with standout effects. I'd certainly hope Tenet or Mank wins that.
please. Well, Make isn't even up in visual effects. They got Tenet, The Midnight Sky, Love and Monsters, Mulan, and the one and only Ivan. So
Oh, okay,
Tenet,
never mind. Yeah,
please.
there
Yeah,
we go. Yeah, it has to be Tenet. I was bummed about Tenet missing out on score, Ludwig Göransson,
yeah.
just because
What?
that score rips. Apparently, it's a little more polarizing. I think that score is incredible and really works with the movie.
I do
That
too.
one's tough. We knew they weren't. He wasn't going to win with Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross sweeping for Soul to this point.
Hmm.
I think Diplot's nominated for Midnight Sky too, but like it's a pretty loaded field. But man, that one stinks, right? Because he's like a
Up and coming.
rising superstar scorer at this point. Would have been
Yeah.
I think a cool nod.
The Tenet disrespect continues, man. Check out our best movies of 2020 to hear my opinion on that.